Leeds, lads. Leeds, we're historically, I have not got, right? I turn up at Leeds to watch Leeds, and this is me brutally honest. Please don't clickbait us, it's a bit of a thing. But I don't know what's coming.
No, you don't. Well, that's the fun thing.
It's not fun for me.
No, not fun. I mean, that's the like when you.
I'd rather have the years when I was at the grand final and I know what.
Yeah, obviously. So
it's not fun for me.
I meant when you turn up, that's what every single Leeds fan says, and every single Leeds fan says what Leeds are going to turn up today.
But we're going to stop this. That's been going on for 4 years.
Yeah,
we've not had no stability of going to Leeds ground or away thinking we know what's coming. I've watched both them Wigan games. I've watched the games this year, and I absolutely don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. I know Cameron Smith's probably one of the best players in the division. I know that he himself should have been given the captain at the start, and so all the lads knew it. He's the man now. Forget about it. This is the new era. Tom Allred, close for young player of the year, outstanding. We knew it when we saw him pre-season. But there's something not right. There's something because so far wrong there.
But I just think for me, like when we discussed this at the start of the year, as we've discussed,
it's not acceptable, Jimmy.
But it's for me, it's totally understandable and expected because we saw from that back half of last year, Leeds, the results started to come. But the way they were playing, I remember us being sat there and Mick was losing his head because he was like, you go watch them one week and they put 40 on Huddersfield, and then the next week they get beat. The style of play that Leeds are doing with their current players is very much, if it comes off like it did in the second half of that Wigan game last week, there's no better team to watch alongside with the Salfords. But it's going to be like that for me until the transition continues, some of the spine changes, and they start to probably be able to play a different way. I think this is just part.
Well, the word is they'll keep Austin next year, so that one's staying.
Possibly, but
that's not going to change out, is it?
Well, I think the key is who comes in. If he does stay, it's who comes in alongside him.
For me,
who comes in at fullback? If Miller's,
they'll play Ash.
Coming to.
They'll play Ash.
Yeah.
You can quote me on that.
Maybe, but you don't know because. I said at the start of this year that Morgan Gannon's going to be considered as an halfback, and you're like, no chance we're having that conversation. He's played 5 games here. You don't know what Rowan's going to do. I'm not saying he is an halfback.
But my argument, ridiculous.
Yeah, but he's played there, so you don't know what's going to happen.
Because of injuries.
Yeah, which was likely to happen because
you went wrong. They worded him as being, I see an halfback in him. I never saw an halfback. I never will see an halfback. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, as a typical halfback.
He's playing it if they've got 5 out and then they play him.
Yeah, as a typical halfback. But clearly Rowan is happy to do things very differently. So you just don't. That's part of the reason why we don't know what Leeds are going to do.
I think they'll play Ash at fullback.
I think Ash is 1,000,000% the fullback next year. I'm willing. I'd put £50.
And I think they'll bring an half in, or they'll try and bring whatever. I don't think that's the problem, guys.
I think
you've been saying for ages for spines for problems.
Can I give my take quickly?
Yeah.
My take is not necessarily that, but I think watching them, I think of what you mentioned with Cam Smith maybe being captain or whoever, that they miss a captain. If I've watched a team that misses a captain,
100%.
For me, it's the Leeds Rhinos. You watch them, and when it's going good, it's easy to not have a captain because everyone's together. Everyone's like, oh, it's brilliant, and then they play awesome. But as soon as they have that off day or that off thing, there's not. At the moment, there's not like I said, Cammy Smith gets in the tackles, but there's no one that seems to be leading that when it goes when they wake up that day and choose it's one of our bad day. There's no one that stands up and goes, lads, I'll take you through the storm here. Let's go.
I'll challenge that because we had that chat and I said the same thing earlier on in the season about under the post when we conceded. But that is totally defunct because what Leeds did 2 weeks ago against Wigan, when they go down to 12 men. They're away at Wigan and they're expected to lose the game at half-time by at least 30 points. They come back and win it by 30 points. So there's clearly leadership, players. Otherwise, most teams will fold there.
I don't think that's the excuse.
You can pick one out.
I don't think leadership.
You can pick one out where they've got beat off bottom 3 sides. Yeah. They didn't show any leadership.
I don't think that's the leadership why they won that game.
what they've got beat this year, you'll see there's no leadership a lot of times.
The reason is they've all banded together there and gone, we'll prove them wrong.
Interception.
Right. So effectively, it's the same thing. You're talking about when we're when you were saying if they're under the cosh and it's all against them,
they play good old rugby. I think they just play good old rugby.
I think that's how they are. It's either going to come off and they win, or it doesn't come off, and they could lose by 20 by these tiny things. Harry Newman 2 interceptions, changes the game. It's so I'm agreeing in the sense that you don't know what to expect, and I don't see that changing until a few of the personnel coming in and Leeds get a game manager. I don't think Leeds have got a game manager. And I think that's where, at half, and that's where it comes. Austin does a great job of working hard, tackling hard, doing little bits, but he's not got that same pace he had in the Warrington days. He goes for that show and go, and he used to score every time at Warrington. He never scores now. So he doesn't have that X factor, and Caesar is struggling to run games and control games. I think if Leeds' biggest signing in the last God knows how many years is which halfback they bring in to take the team around. And then I think it goes from there.
Go on, Tom.
Right, so last time out, lost 18-15 to Wigan, Challenge Cup. Before the Super League, they beat Wigan 40-18. Game before that, they lost to Salford 22-12. Before that, Lee, they lost 26. Before that, they beat Hull FC 34-10. Beat Huddersfield 18-17 the week before, lost to Hull KR 2012 the week before that, and then the week before that they beat Catalans 32-22, lost to Cass the week before that 14-18.
So they lost to 4 at bottom.
Smashed Wakefield 26-0 before that on the 10th of March.
I've never seen a team that needs a leader as much as I'll stick with it. I don't agree. Well, I think they need an half-back, but we know that.
They need a spine.
But I think they need a leader, because any team, loads of teams play, Salford play gung-ho, but they've got a few leaders on that team that when it's tough, they'll still dig in. I don't think there's enough of them that will go.
There is. He's going to give him the shackles.
I don't know.
The reason
we know Cameron, because we speak to him most days. Cameron's been born to be the Leeds captain. I'd have said that at 15-year-old when I seen him first.
Why has he got shackles on?
Because he wasn't given the job at the start of the year. It was,
why can't you be the leader anyway?
He didn't want to upset Ashanley. They didn't want to upset the back rower, Reece Martin. This is what everyone said, and they thought it could be shared by these characters and leadership group. Not a chance. I said it at the time. Quote me. Not a chance. You've got a kid who is playing top form, probably the best loose forward in UK by a country mile at the moment. Even the disbelievers are starting to believe.
Yeah.
Even the disbelievers who said he wasn't tough enough and he want this are starting to text me and going, he's now the man.
Yeah.
Give him the keys to the city. Let him put that little group round him when he wants. If that's Ash, if that's Mick, if that's certain individuals, get it round, give him it, and let him be the culture of the club and let him lead.
You've done this whole podcast, though. You've done this whole you're just writing off Leeds this year, then, aren't you? With that statement.
I think barring a minor miracle like we had last year where they crept into the playoffs, which, as I've said since the start, do I think they can get into the playoffs? Yeah, they might sneak in. And then when it comes to knockout rugby, can they put performance in? Of course they can. Do I think they're one of the most consistent top teams this year? Definitely not. But I do think that Leeds are coming towards the end of this transition that has gone on far too long due to bad recruitment and due to other little issues going on. I think now getting Rowan in, focusing on the youth again, and hopefully making some top signings over the next year or two, Leeds will be right up in them top two teams in 2025, 26. Well, certainly 26, 27. I think it's coming to the end, and Cameron's the man to lead him to grand final 2026.
And this is, you know what? Here's one for you. Do the comp need a strong Leeds? Oh, yeah. They can't go to the TV deal without a strong Leeds. It's our flagship. Whether you like it, whether you don't like Leeds, whether you do like Leeds, it's our flagship. So when you go to the Sky deals, you look at your flagship, you've got Leeds Rhinos, $20,000 seat, car park, middle of Headingley, one of the greatest stadiums in the UK.
City.
It's now as good as Old Trafford, you know, in its own little way. It's our flagship. I know the 60,000 Old Trafford's old now. I didn't say Emirates.
Yeah, but the City is Emirates.
But I'm saying we've got it. So this is renowned throughout the world now. This stadium's renowned. You've sat in it. I've never known a stadium where you can sit upstairs and look like you're on the pitch. The way they designed the boxes are as good as anything. This is as good, better than Ellen Road, in my opinion, by a million miles. We went, right? So you look at this.
Certainly wants to put.
You go to the TV deal
Still
now.
won't stand short.
You've got to get it. Anyway, you've got to get a strong Leeds to get that money. And here's what I thought about the day, and this is one for a lot of players. And this is a message to young players. And I hope I said this in the right manner. When you're coming through the last 15 years of these Super League deals, we've been getting a certain figure, which is usually 1.8, 1.9 for each team, times by 12 in Super League, whatever it is. How do you think we get them? Well, we get them because Jamie Peacock, Paul Sculthorpe, James Roby, Sean O'Loughlin have kept in our game. And when they go to TV deal, they give them all these star players and this excitement to watch them games. Some of the greatest games of my life have been at Old Trafford. Never had the same feeling Challenge Cup, lads, to be honest, but Old Trafford, some of the greatest moments of my sporting at the arena. It kept the sport high. Jamie Peacock probably single-handedly again kept the sport high. Danny Maguire, the magic, kept the Rob Burrow talked about for the next 50 years what he did in that semi-final. Well, the reason these young men now are getting the money they are doing, we should thank them. Because otherwise we'd be on about a 1.1 cap at the moment. If it weren't for them lot doing what they did, Leeds and Saints going toe-to-toe with and all that and kept it right high, the viewers were still high because the top players were playing in our comp. The top youngsters were coming. Boom. Well, let me tell you, and this is the thing. The young players in the competition have got to fight to keep these young players. And we've got to get something done quick. I put my thing forward to what should happen. That's private. I've said it to the right people. And we've got to get it done now because... Let me finish. You're going to have to let me finish this and then you can have your say. We then walk into this TV deal. And at the moment we're walking in with 5 or 6 of our top young players who will be in the NRL next year. The word is they're up to 15 the year after. This is what they're saying, that they're all going to play the contracts out. So we're going to go and we're not going to go. I want the young men to respect what a young basketball player said on the week at NBA. Thank you, Larry Bird. Thank you, Magic Johnson. Certainly thank you, Michael Jordan. Thank you, LeBron. Thank you for me getting my average up. Now, these young players don't know the history of the game. And they need to start looking at it and start thanking what these players did to keep this comp at 28, 30 million. Because get ready, if the dominoes go down and the young'uns say, you know, a 14-year-old lad in Rugby League will know his future in the next 6 months. Because if this continues to happen, the game can't keep him. You're being selfish on that 14-year-old who dreams of playing at Old Trafford to 70,000. It ain't going to happen, my son. You get me? The only reason these young players are on the platform is because of them players before them. And there's no one mentions it, but they're doing other sports. They get it. They understand it. They understand it in golf with Tiger. They understand it Jack Nicklaus. They understand what's happened. Our players do not understand what is happening. And if they all bail out, God help us. Because God help you, but think of, hey, when your little brother comes and he gets a contract and it's under 15 grand for a full time, and they get the top player in this country can only earn this much, it'll be a travesty. And then you think about the legends who've kept it going. You know what I mean? And by the way, young men, they all had chances to go. Trust me, we had some of them. They had the biggest chances you've ever seen. They kept the comp going for the next generation. I'll challenge the Rugby League and the clubs. Do something about this quick, but don't forget to tell the young men how unselfish these lads were. You think Jamie Peacock got offers to NRL? He was best forward in the world. He was the number 1 forward in the world for about 4 years.
The big there's a big difference now is that they're coming from younger and the money's a lot.
So what do we do?
The difference in money's a lot different.
So we challenged it last time. Give the young ones the big money.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And, but,
said it
as much as you can. It's hard because the money gap's grown massive. It's just so
the
hard.
young Joe said it 6 months ago. What they do in the NBA. I've said what Joe said. I've used on the email to a lot of people and said, this is happening in other sports. Get the young men and give them that package. Give them that package. Yeah. Because they're bringing the fans in. It's not unfortunately, it's not the 32-year-old anymore. We don't have the 32-year-old Jamie Lyon to bring the crowds in. Yeah. We have a limited version of Jamie Lyon.
I agree.
We don't have, what we have got as good a youngsters as we've ever had. Problem is they know that, and that's what's going to happen. My argument with Lewis Murphy, somebody could say devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You've done Lewis Murphy, listen to your rules. I hope Michael don't mind me saying this. If you saw what Lewis Murphy were on, and even what he got offered, it was the only option he had. Because of the situation he was in.
With the conversation.
He was not on, no. The compensation's terrible.
Well, people have said he could have gone to another Super League team.
And they offered to
money.
do the compensation. But at the time, if Wakey would have locked him in for a better contract, I'm only quoting Lewis, I'll quote his dad, they would have stayed. It didn't happen. I then said to the other clubs, that's not against it. Michael might not have seen it at that. They might have not seen Lewis. That's a personal choice.
Yeah.
Whether you see that player at that level. Do you get me?
Yeah.
I'd say all Super League needs to make sure they do that now, because if you don't, and you're right, they're going to come for him, and they are actively seeking him. They're actively seeking him. This is a question for the game, not us.
I think the debate there is, you said that young players don't respect the history of the sport enough. Essentially,
they're not taught it.
Yeah, they're not taught. That's my debate. I was like, I get that, and it's such a shame. It's like I can't work it out how you mention older players, and literally some of the young players we've got don't know the legends of the sport. It's like the most bizarre conversations you'll have, because you'll mention people and they're like, who's what's that? They generally don't have a clue. So whose fault is that, I guess? Because obviously in other sports, the history is the most proud thing they've got. Why in our sport?
It's Rugby League should be doing promotional videos all the time saying, these are the footsteps you're walking in. State of Origin all week is about the footsteps. State of Origin, they say you are walking the footsteps of Meninga, Johns, and it goes right back to the 70s to the main man, Arthur Beetson. Yeah. You are walking, them Aussies understand all that history. Because all they talk about on camp is that
history, yeah.
We need to do the promotion, needs to go into the clubs and the Rugby League and Super League. And if I am get off your asses and do that,
teach the
run
history.
A thing and say to all the kids, this is what's happened.
That's
Paul
what they need to
Sculthorpe
do.
got offered 25 times just to leave our game. He was the lad who was as good as the Aussies for about 4 years. He ripped the Aussies apart. We were all watched it. He was playing at that level. He was playing at the key senior level. That is that level. Best centre in the world. Bang. That's why you're getting the 1.9 cap, lads. Not because of us, because of what Leeds did, because of what Saints did, because of what Wigan did. They kept it right high premium because they were still producing that top quality.
I think that's the secret issue. That I think it's the biggest issue, but that no one knows about. If you get me, like there's big issues, but that most people don't realise is a big issue in our sport. That the youth and the younger not just the young players, the young they don't know the history of the sport.
Well, they'll tell you they don't give a shit. They'll tell you that.
At all, which is so sad because, like you said, every other sport, and that's the reason why it's not attracted as many fans, because the sport has done such a bad job of self-promoting the history of it, of how many legendary games, even recent history, them Leeds Grand Finals, Leeds do an alright job of it, that's why. But other teams, they don't have that same, you don't think they're great, the young players don't think that. I do. I've watched loads of games, but a lot of young lads don't go, bam, they're great, I'm walking in the same footsteps of even young Leeds players, just because I know their history more, is like young Gary Schofield. They might know Danny, but they don't. They don't know Gary. They don't know they don't know anyone else. It's crazy.
Well, half of them don't know Ellery. He's our greatest player.
Very little of them know Ellery, if any of them.
But I just think the world. I think somebody, and this is me. I'm playing the advocate. If you don't pay them what they're worth, then they go quick. We'll be first to do it. We'll have to. That's what we do as a company. We will do it. As with Lewis Murphy, we will do it, and we might be doing another one next year. We will do it. But I'll tell you now, most of the time, the competition's got to reward these young men, and then the young lads have got a proper choice. You know what I like about that? You've got that. At the moment,
it's a no-brainer. It's
all just weighed in, and you're like that. You're like, well, it's not fair. Yeah, it's enough, son. We've got to find a way to address that. Somebody said to me some good ideas the other day. What would you do? And I said, it's hard for me. So I'm working for players, so I don't give a shit really. I'm going to do what's right for them. That's what our business is. If you had your RFL hat on, some great ideas would be, one, if there is an exodus, balance it up by saying, we can get a top young player to Australia with the visa. You can go at 18. You can't get any Australian young top player to come here. They're not allowed. Answer.
Just put the same rule
What
in
do you mean they're
place.
not allowed?
Not allowed. Don't get the visa clearance.
I mean, that's a good.
Yeah, they would.
That's
They
a,
Yeah, they would.
Come on then.
so that's a government issue.
No.
It's a government issue.
No, they would. They would.
Try and do it. Speak after this.
After young,
Could we get a top young Australia player to come play in our Super League?
yeah, if they played Australia under 20s, yes.
Yeah, forget about that. Just a top player.
Yes.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
You
I
can't.
spoke to people. You can't get it. You can't. We need to go to the government and get a better
match.
access. You can send. We haven't got international youngsters going over there. We've got anybody going over there.
Yeah.
You can go over there. There's clearance for you tomorrow. You try getting a young Australia player here. I'll let you have a go when we finish this. So pick one out and say, can we get him in? And I'll bet you now they'll say, no, he's got to have done this, this, and this. 2.
If it's a job, yeah, but it'd have to be paid over 18k. Then yes, it's very doable.
You'll see it. Well, that's the thing.
Listen.
Number 2, compensation.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
The big one.
that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Compensation stay in the UK is massive, but you can go to Australia for nothing. Ridiculous. Agents.
So just to really break that down for people, take someone like Lewis for example. If another Super League club wanted to sign him, it would have been around the 50 grand mark.
No,
compensation.
35.
But he can go to the NRL
For nothing.
and we don't get a penny, which is probably the stupidest
Rule.
rule
Don't get
in
anything last
our
week.
game. And it's been in place for a little while now
10
as
years.
well. So
Next one.
how that's not changed yet
Next one.
it's been amusing.
I've said this about the cap for a bit. We do it now. We do have cap relief on young players.
Homegrown and things. Yeah.
Undo the cap anyway. We've got to do the cap to the highest rating, not the lowest. We've all got that. Certain clubs are going down that way anyway. And when they do, they've been keeping it, don't put cap up, don't do this, don't let this. No. You're going that way anyway. You shouldn't have a say. That's be the ones who are going forward. Let's go. Make it for the young players. Internationally. Give them something more than we get probably the lowest international wage of any sport. I'm not going to challenge that. And somebody goes, it's ridiculous. If you look at all top sports, what they get, including Rugby League in Australia, other countries, what they get for Origin, what they get for Rugby Union, what they get for football.
That's done on demand as well.
We get, make our demand better. Don't play pointless French fixtures.
True,
That's
yeah.
really good. Everyone moaned about that French fixture playing their second team and playing amateur, semi-professional rugby players, which caused Delan, because our players all come back thinking they're all Johns, and they're not. They were playing against semi-professional players. Your problem is, who wants to go to that match anyway? I didn't, and I'm an anorak. Did that bring it to you? Did you think, let's get to Warrington to watch, Wigan, whatever, to watch that match? No. A top player said to me about the international game, I said, why would you not? Bulls, and he said, well, can I give you some things? We stay on that, usually we stay on 62 corridor. So he said, we play for our club there, we train there, we live there. Then he said, England come. And first thing is to train at Wigan and play there. He says, then you get end of year and our fixtures at Tonga at Leeds and all. So he's down that corridor, but just further down. He wants to turn up in the middle of, he said to me, these were his words, would it be brilliant to do a Tonga at there? Could we not do something there? Could we not play outside of this there? So we feel like we're travelling and we're getting ready, we're going to see it. So you can say, I've done a bit of travelling, I've seen a bit of world as part of my job, it's so exciting. We're going to go to Fiji and play Fiji. Tonga and the organisation of the England in the world, Aussies say no and that's us done, and then we're clipping together whatever we can get. I won't be playing, after World Cup I want to have it in this country anyway. I'd have let them say, take them for the best 6 weeks of their lives and let them have the best time they come back. And then I'd probably, if I were them, not us, we're an agent, I'd then say you'd have to put something in place that they get paid heavily for England. And would you let the Australia players play for England? Would that be a way of...
See, I don't.
I said, I'm throwing devil's advocate.
What if you got young Aussies over? Could they play?
No.
No, he's saying like Elliot Whitehead.
Or would you like the NRL players play for it?
Yeah.
Right.
And you took that away. You're paying them big money.
They're doing that in Rugby Union at the moment with the Scottish national team, and I think the Welsh national team. They're saying that to play for the country, you must play in our league. But it's the same problem because what they pay in their league is a third of what they play in France.
Correct.
So for me, it's unfair to ask a player
100%.
to say you're not allowed to go and better yourself in a bet league and better.
If you want to play for England.
If you want to play for England, you can't. That's blackmail for me. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I don't like that rule.
Don't like that one.
That is totally unfair.
Do you take away for our comp? If we keep losing numbers
Of fans, viewers,
everything. Do we take away the? We've done this way because we wanted to keep our young talent and we want the opportunity. We don't want too many overseas players coming in because we've fought for that for 10 years. Do you take that away now and say they're taking ours, so we'll take some of theirs? We'll come
no, worst idea ever.
Joe, would we start? Moran could bring the best 21-year-old halfback in the world here. Would you let him do it?
I think that would work to bring fans in. I generally think whether we like it or not.
I don't mind the odd one or two big ones, but I'm not. No way can you say the quota's open and you can bring 10 in because some will. And then where's the pathway? It's hard enough now.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
but don't you think is that not what Man City done?
They could have. Yeah. They could have. We can't compare football.
No, I'm saying. Does it affect you watching City that there's only 3 homegrown lads?
It did for a while.
Does it affect you?
It doesn't affect him now or at this point, but there's a lot of hardcore fans who'd still rather see it.
I'm asking you a sensible question. Does it bother you? Say I went to Liverpool and I saw 3 homegrown lads. It never bothered me one bit. Did it you, Joe? Did you say, oh God, there's no scouts here?
The difference is there's still hundreds and hundreds of professional football clubs that the English talent can play for. If we don't have a pathway to our top tier and clubs have got half their squadders overseas, why would a young lad on $5,000 a year give a whole year to play in a reserve team at a Super League club, not be able to work, not be able to do that? Because your chance of getting in is so limited.
Okay, yeah, but I'm saying,
if you've got the chance to play, if you've got the chance, if you're a young player that's in the reserves, you're a full-back, you're a centre, and you've got Latrell Mitchell above you, and you can play with Latrell Mitchell.
Exactly what I'm on about.
I'll wait to play with Latrell.
Yeah, but all right, so if you are the absolute elite, and you'd have to be one of the top 5 academy players of the year, but I'm talking about opportunities. Do I think the Super League will benefit from being flooded with Aussies coming to the end of their career, filling up spots? Absolutely not.
No, we'll put an age limit, under 25s.
If you're allowed to get
under 25s.
one or... No, because I believe that we have got an awful lot of talent that is good enough to entertain, and that fans in rugby league more so than in football still want to watch that Leeds lad play for Leeds, that Castleford lad, that Hull lad play for Hull, more so than in football, where football's had 20 years now of money madness and you've either got to join it or you're dead. That's being forced. There's still a lot of people who don't particularly like it. If we go down that route, I think it's gonna kill the progress and kill the pathways. Can every club bring in one Aussie off cap and spend what the hell they like on him? Absolutely.
That's what they're allowed to do.
Let me finish though.
Yeah, but they don't have the money to do it. We can't do that. So it's
and I'll put it to Sam. Sam, you watch a game of football.
No, there is the money. There's not. They don't want to come here.
Yeah,
you'd have to find a way to
earn.
You could watch Leeds United.
Yeah, but Simon Moran could pay for that and pay similar.
You go watch Leeds United, Sam, and they play Man United. Do you go and say, I wonder how many homegrown players are playing for Leeds? Joe? Would it affect your viewing?
I don't watch football anymore. That may be a little... No, I'll say maybe that's a little bit I'm not interested in.
Do you mean... Does it affect your viewing?
It doesn't very much at all now, but they're 20 years into that. And I think that's a big difference.
Because I watched City at weekend and they've won it again, and the ones that they actually put out there for the viewing things all over the world for the money were Ireland, Silver. There wasn't picking out a City young man with. Wow.
Well, there's only Foden, isn't there? So.
Newcastle have now become a worldwide brand this year because, let's be honest, they've got 15 overseas players.
No, yeah, but the stars, one of the biggest players, Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, it's from London.
Yeah, he was right back and from England. In country.
They've got 13 and 15.
But again, if we're gonna, I don't like comparing rugby with football because it's so different. But English footballers can go. If you've come through at Man City and you've not managed to break into the first team, no worries, because any championship club will snap you up, and you're still going to earn an awful lot.
Championship clubs of ours not do it.
And earn an awful lot of money and a successful career. You can also, if you want, go to Spain and play in a great standard. You can go to Italy, France, Germany, Scandinavia, China, Dubai. In rugby league, it's us and them. There's France as well who've got a bit going on. So I just feel that you'd be flooding us with the second rate as a general rule.
No. Forget about the second rate. I'm saying, would it be good to take the cap off and go for the under 25s and go and bring that young top player?
It would be nice, but I just don't. Again, the money is so different. I don't see realistically that would ever happen, because they will be offering treble to stay in the best comp in the world, or do you come over here at 25? What are the Aussie clubs going to say?
Top young players, let me tell you, top young players over there are in a system of up to 60 grand till they're a certain age, so there would be a little market. All I'm doing is playing devil advocate, where you could go, listen, let's give them a run for our money. If we can take a couple, I'm just thinking of going over there and going, no problem, you're going to play him under 60 grand for 3 years, we can pay him 120 now because he's already better than our halfback, let's do it. I've got a feeling there's no answer at the moment to stop the NRL and make our comp at what it is. We've got to go to them TV deals now. And all they see in the press is Will Price, Piers Paul, John Bateman's gone back.
But I do.
Do we do what a lot of people are saying is, so what? It's what's happening. That's it.
But I do worry that it'll still be perceived as any Aussie at a young age who comes over here, everyone's just going to go, or the vast majority of people are going to go, oh, it's only because he can't get a gig in RL. He can't be that good, because if they'd have kept him, he would never have come. Why would you come? That would be the rhetoric anyway.
It won't if he's that good. That's the rhetoric when you look at Jai Field and you're like, where's he? You don't know his backs.
Well, Lachlan Lamb's a young man who were playing for Roosters. He's probably top three at half in our comp. Everyone said he's the top three at half.
Enough. Yeah.
And he's been great for Lee. The fans love him.
Yeah.
The TV deal loves him.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that model?
No, that's a very good example.
Agreed.
And Bevan French
got dropped from the Roosters, didn't he?
Yeah, but I'm saying he's a young man. He's come over as a young man.
Benefited from it.
Because of his dad, whatever. But the fans don't go there and go, oh, no, he's from us. Where's our own Lee halfback? Well, unfortunately, that's life, guys. That's life. They're not doing that.
I suppose it's a good way of thinking of it. Bevan French is by far the most exciting player to watch in the league, by a mile. Now, if we could have one of them in every team, if we can make that happen, if you think that's the way to do that,
I'm even saying go bigger. Bevan French wasn't there. That's not a top tier signing.
But he's the best player in our comp by a mile.
Exactly. So I'm saying, I'm not saying don't settle for that. You watch their Origin under 20 and pay them treble of what they can.
They're never leaving the NRL. Origin players in the NRL are not going to leave the NRL for Super League.
You might get them for a couple of years. If you offer them treble,
I'd say
as an agent, if you look after
I'd say three of our clubs, Jimmy, maybe four are capable of bringing that player in.
Right, all right. They might be financially, but if you are the agent of an NRL academy player,
and you've got 3 years to wait,
and you've got a Super League opportunity, you do not send him to Super League.
Right, I'll challenge you.
As the game starts.
I would say if you've got a player at 19, 20 who knows he's got an 800 grand at Reynolds in front of him, and historically he might go and play as number 3 at another club and have to leave that club, or he waits. If I said, no, I'll wait for that Reynolds, but I'll tell you what I'll do, I'm going to sign a 2-year deal at there, because that seems to me to be brilliant. I love what they're doing over there. I love the atmosphere. I love this. I think it'd be amazing. Jamie Lyon came over here because he fell out with Ozzy and Ali Titi. They both came at a young age. They both came. Ali come at 22, Jamie was 25, 26. They both came where they had the best years in front of them. That's my dream, is that, do we do that, and can we?
Can we get
you know what? Let them have, and let the big guns have a go. Let the big guns have a go at doing it. I think
I guess my argument there is they technically are allowed to have a go at it.
I think we've only allowed so many players, and you'll have to prove me wrong on this. Can we bring a top 19, 20-year-old person who hasn't played international rugby for first team over here? Do you know when we do a deal for us, just to give people an idea, we have to jump through hoops in Australia. You have to write to the NRL. You have to go through a load of answers and questions. You do know what we're doing here, don't you? Nothing.
Exactly.
They don't have to do anything. So we're making it, our doors are that easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't they?
Don't know. That's the question.
Exactly. So that's
We make
not.
it
Well,
so
that
easy.
goes right up to the top with the government.
You don't have to write. They don't have to
No,
write.
it's not a government
They
thing.
don't-
That's the what clubs you're talking about. Not going after the young player.
We have a 2-year deal. So just to give people an idea, we have, as agents, have a 2-year deal with the player. Aussie agents have a 4-year deal.
That's got nothing to. That's a side issue. But what? No.
Massive.
No. Yeah, but your argument, there is cap relief for an Australian player that's 20. We bring loads over that aren't ever played. An international, sniffed an international, we bring Aussies over.
Go on then, give us one.
Chris McQueen.
It's 31.
Yeah, the age doesn't matter to
No,
it.
I'm saying a 20-year-old,
Yes.
19, top young player.
Age doesn't matter
Give me one.
to the law.
I think it does.
It doesn't.
Chris McQueen would have got through on certain criteria.
What criteria is there in the UK government that stops
Sam's
20
trying to
years
get the
old?
information, the answer. I think you'll find.
There's not.
You'll see.
There's
I
not.
think you'll find it's not as easy as for us to go there. And I know it because we discussed it with the top CEO last week, and he said it's a lot harder for us to get their top 19-year-old junior out of there on visas than it is for them to take one of ours, which is 2 seconds. We need somebody who's looking at all this thing. Listen, we're all here for players. If the comp, all I'm saying is devil advocate, if the competition this year, which has been fantastic so far, and then quality's dropped, because we haven't got enough quality, obviously. We started off well, and I think last 4 to 5 weeks we're like, oh God, some of them games have been horrific.
Yeah.
So we obviously haven't got the overall quality. We can't afford to keep on losing. I'm asking you, Jimmy, I'm asking you, Joe, I'm asking you, Sam, I'm asking people who are watching the show. I think I've got some answers. What is the answer?
I think you've two things, obviously what we've said, two things you've got to keep the top English players, number one, keep top English players in this comp. Number two, obviously to do that you've got to do the stuff we've discussed in other shows, under 25 cap relief if they're made in England nights or an England appearance, let them off the cap, give them bigger massive deals and let them stay. Number two is attract an Aussie, other than it's brilliant Bevan French playing awesome, but let's find a way to get their best players over, which is going to be tough but probably requires
the cap being took off.
Yeah. Well, no, because the Aussies are the marquee aren't in the cap.
No, for us to be able to afford them.
The marquee aren't in the cap.
But we can, at the moment. So this is what happens in competition. If Wigan, and again last time I said Wigan's the one I got shot. If Wigan's new investment team come in, and the shackles are off, and they go and get
they currently can do that.
Yeah, they go and do it though. £250,000 signings. What do you think Stuart and Simon Ranald when the gauntlet's on?
Why don't Warrington do that?
Because at the moment they don't have to do it because no one dare do it. But if you did it, and then what would Gary Etherington have to do to board at Leeds? They'd have to find a massive benefactor and go there and go, right, we're on here. We're not now competing at the top 10. This is Man City. This is Newcastle. We're going to end up like Man U. It would cause what's called a market, and they'd go for it. That's when the big guns would pull the big pistols out.
Yeah, but why don't they? That's what it's going to say.
That's the question. They don't
But
have to.
Saints
don't want that to happen. Because Saints have got the best business plan. They need that.
So why don't Warrington go and do it?
Because I don't see, because if we're talking about let's go in for the top player, right? We're going for an origin player, even plays for the Kangaroos or the Kiwis or Samoa, who's on £1 million, £1 million a year.
Yeah. Our owners are richer than Rabbitohs.
You think that if Warrington offer 1 million, they'll come? No chance. So why would one of the best players in the world leave the NRL, leave his home, and leave his family to come and play in a competition?
They might want to do what Ireland say. I just want to travel.
But 1 million. Remember, 1 million Australian is.
No, I'm on about. I'm on about the ones who earn £1 million in the NRL.
I would say that no player in Australia in the top 200 people, if they got offered more money than they're on, would want to come England.
Now you're talking about top 200. I thought you were talking about the top 20
50,
players.
Top 50.
Right, that's totally different.
Yeah.
I thought you're talking about the top players that are going to come over, like when Andrew Johns did, or if Thurston came over, and everyone goes, wow, we're going to see
If you give them more money.
But if you're a top player, and you're on $1 million English, which some of them are now, you would have to give him 2 million English to come over.
Let's just say we've got the money.
Yeah, but we don't.
Why?
There's
No one's paying £2 million
Who
for
do you
a player.
think's richer, our men or them?
I'm not saying who's richer, but no one pays 2 million over here to get one.
No, there's about 2 people, and there's maybe one on US 1 million English.
All right, well, I think you'd have to pay someone double. It's like the only situation we've had in this with sport is what's happened with golf with LIV. They are having to pay people leaving the top competition in sport to go and play in something that's not as good, which sadly is what the NRL and Super League are considered by most.
I'd probably look, if it were me to do it for comp, I'd probably look for a player, right, who's just finished Origin, right, but he's still young, but he hasn't got in, do you get me? And I'd look at somebody who's 25, 26, but he's a top player. He's probably he's ticked a couple of boxes, he's gone, yeah, I've done Origin, I've done that, I need a new challenge.
I don't know if that exists.
Sonny Bill left us to go to Japanese Rugby Union for $1 million. He did, he jumped ship.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist, what you described.
Let me tell you, he did it. He went over the back, being worst comp in the world. He went, I want a culture, Japanese, I'm off, see you later. He spent 2 years, as did 10 top players in world in Japanese Rugby Union. Didn't give it a blink. They're not, because us at Rugby League, their comp don't stand anywhere near our Super League, but they went because suddenly the money were there, and they went, come on boys, come and get it some of this.
And that's what I'm saying. I believe that money would have to be double, if not treble. What they're getting in that golf is 100 times more, and they still have to think about it. So if you want to, even if we talk about a top 40 player, and let's say they're on 500 English. Right?
They won't be though.
All right, 300 English, right?
It's irrelevant.
They'll be at the top. Very relevant though.
No, I don't think
we can't afford a £2 million.
There's loads of players in the NRL who are on 300 English.
There's not loads, no.
Well, all right.
We're getting involved in something.
All right, put it this way. You'd have to pay at least double, treble, in my opinion, to get them over. So then, what's the problem? They come over, they get injured, or they have a couple of bad games, all the fans go, and we go, why are they paying $500,000 for one of them when we've got lads who are on $2,000 in academies, they're having to pack the game up, they're getting $2,000 playing at championship clubs. I know what you're saying, and ideally there might be those players that just fit into that, and we can get a couple more Bevan French ability players over here, which would be amazing.
Who's played 3 years since he left Warrington, he's played every week in NRL. He come over here at 24, were brilliant. Warrington loved him.
And if
we had a guy called David Solomona, Shante Hart. We had some fantastic internationals.
Yeah.
Paul brothers kept our comp with.
Yes.
They deserve everything in the world.
And that's down to recruitment, isn't it? Can they find that nugget that you're on about?
And they had Henry and Robbie at 18. That, in them days, they brought them over at, I think, 19, 18 years old.
Yeah, but there's nothing stopping them currently doing that.
That's what we need to find out. Let's ask the clubs. What's stopping them from going to get top?
Taking a top player to drop down in standard and not get serious amounts of cash. That's a problem.
And I'm saying give them serious amounts of cash.
If it's a lot of pressure, then a lot of pressure, because that's where fans love to criticise. If you were really confident,
I'd love to say to a fan, what you're going to do? Just keep on losing them every year.
Yeah, I know.
And they go like that, and then they ain't got no answers, and then you go, okay, good, come with us for TV.
Well, look at a Pape, and look at Lachlan Lamb, and look at I suppose Ben French was a higher calibre, but those two players and Brodie Croft, any fan now would love them at their club if they run. Taking a third of a cap, wouldn't they?
And if a fan went to see Salford and went, I'm not happy, where's all homegrowns? Oh, Brodie's there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
they're not easy to find.
No. What you've described is Brodie Croft. You've described signing more Brodie Croft.
Exactly.
But that's some recruitment then. That's nothing to do with, that's the club's not doing a good job recruitment.
And creating enough competition for them to want to go for it.
Yeah.
At the moment, Gary, I'm not going to blame Gary for this, but Gary had the model for a lot of years, which was not to brought the cap in, didn't want it to go above that because he's suing, because they had the best juniors potentially in the world.
But there's nothing stopping them now.
Okay, let me finish. Saints, when they go to vote, they reckon the 2 or 3 that put their hand straight
There's
down.
no rules stopping them.
Let me finish.
What you're doing.
I know they're not, but I'm telling you now, politically, whatever it is, the top clubs go, because they don't want to do it. Whereas I think we're right. Why don't Moran and Stewart go, you're playing by your rules, but we're going to play by Newcastle rules. What football? We're going to go Man City. Let's ask that question. That'd be great for next show.
I think.
Let's say to Simon, why don't we do it?
No offence. No. I think they are trying. I think they've just not got it right in a while.
It's like illegal.
And Warrington have gone.
You've described Brodie Croft. What you've described.
Warrington have spent an awful lot on Vaughan and Maguire. In Leeds have spent a lot on Tetevano.
They both played State of Origin.
I'd love to get that 20-year-old at that level, though, would you? Would you not love to bring a...
But then, Divis stay. Is Brodie Croft going to stay now? Is he going straight
signed
back?
a 10-year deal to stay.
But that's not to stay at Salford. That's so Salford can get money.
To another English club, though, not Aussies don't play fees.
Yeah, but so
we're done for a Warrington or a... It's still in our comp.
Is that a fact?
100%.
Right.
Aussies won't pay a fee, but we will.
Oh, so there's only a fee if he goes to an Aussie club?
No, we won't. Aussies won't pay a fee, Jimmy. They don't pay fees.
And they won't pay him.
They won't pay for Brodie Croft to them. It'll be Warrington would and Leeds would.
Yeah.
So they're a better option to get a fee. Salford. They won't be targeting him in RL. They'll be targeting Leeds, Warrington. Saying you ain't got an half back, and that's why we've done it.
Yeah.
Great debate, lads. We went a bit over that, but I hope there's some good ideas and thoughts. We're going to win the championship, but I think we should leave that now because it could be another hour and it's thing because we got right into that, didn't we, Sam? Guys, we did the predictions at the start of the year. Some of us have been right. Some of us have proved that the knowledge we've got at the moment is not what it should be. And I shouldn't say that because I shouldn't make it about me.
Short memory. Warrington to win everything last year.
But I got the World Cup right and I got this right. So what I'm saying is, guys, have we... No, not the winning.
1-6.
What I called.
1-8, yeah.
I called it right through. Everyone knows it. They all watched it. We've got to get, guys, a winner. What you've seen so far.
Yeah.
Who will win Super League, guys? What you've seen. You've now got a bit more.
Yeah, there's enough to go.
Don't forget about Grand Final. At the moment, let's see who's going to finish top of the hood.
Finish top
of the league.
Grand Finals are different than we can watch.
Right.
Top of the league. Oh God, there's no standout team for me. I generally there's not a standout. I'm a bit.
That's great for compliment. Good job then. Joe can't pick one. Jimmy.
No, I can add. I've not took a negative because I was going to took it. I don't think there's no standout. I don't think any team's performing at top level to do it yet.
I'll do it quick then.
I'm going to go Warrington. Yeah. I think Warrington will hang on.
I'll have enough. Not to Wigan, but Wigan together.
Yeah, that's how I view it.
What about KR?
Still 6 behind. They'd have to beat them twice. I'm not saying they're not capable, but
yeah, I'm going Warrington as well. To
4 behind.
4 behind. I've got Warrington.
I've just got a few question marks about Wigan. To go relentless. And
it's got to be Warrington, hasn't it?
And a shout out to Warrington is Powley was put on the spot. Yeah. He's proved he can do it. The recruiting's been fantastic. And they've given loads to comp this year. There is a team this year who's given a lot to comp.
Yeah, they have. They've
had a mixture of everything. Top players, youngsters.
Great recruitment.
Great group. Warrington are a standing, shining light for me. Fantastic this year. There's a buzz about the place. I don't know if you watched the songs after the game and they're banging the drums and another one in the bin and they're just rocking. Ben Curry said the club's rocking. They believe they can win it. They believe they can go on to win the grand final. There's a club going places. It could be... Is it ever Warrington's year? Well, we think they're going to finish the top.
Best chance forever, this.
We know we have been respectful, lads. Can Wakey get Cass into the battle, boys?
So there's 4 points. So they need, but Wake is different miles off, isn't it? So effectively,
got to beat twice and then another point.
Yeah.
From what I've seen the last 3 weeks, I'll cut it short because earlier on Wakey were miles. What I've seen in the last 3 weeks is that if Wake pull off a win or two, which I believe they can do, because as it gets later, more injuries happen and clubs rest players, and I mean, there's always that, like Toulouse beating Saints last year. There's always a couple of them games where they just don't wait. It looks like they don't really try that hard. I think it's. I think if I was Cass, I'd be nippy bum time right now.
Who's the extra fixture for Cass and Wakey? Who plays? They don't play each other at the Magic, do they?
They've definitely got each other again.
Yeah, just once more. But did Leeds play Cass?
I went to the Wakey Cass game, and there wasn't much between them. Just Wakey couldn't open them up. I think Wakey have got a chance of getting them.
Leeds v Cass.
But in Legion of
Wakey v Lee.
In the Legion of doing it, it's a 1 in 30 shot. They've got to pick games up, and Cass have got to keep on going down that. Wakey, you'd rather be Cass than Wakey, wouldn't you, at the moment?
100%. Do you see
this spot from what I saw at the weekend at the Challenge?
Well, where's Wakey's next point coming from? Because they haven't shown anything that they can beat anybody.
They need to win 3 games.
I think they've looked better in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. To win a game?
Yeah.
There you go.
They need to win 3 games and one of them has to be Cass. Do I think that's going to happen and Cass not pick up any more points? No. I think Wakey are gone. And Cass are very fortunate that Wakey are sadly.
Give us a player, guys, stand out for you this year so far.
Devin French, as obvious as it is, I just think he gets better and better, and it's the most entertaining player to watch. And without him, Wigan are no better than a top 5 team.
That's a shocking comment.
It's absolutely bang on the money.
Matty Pete, he said that, not me.
Yeah. And again,
he said that with that lead on where he's from.
It goes back to Lammy. I always felt really sorry for Lammy when he didn't have them two, and they've not got field at the moment, obviously. But it just shows when they're down.
Better than Bevan last year.
I don't know about that.
I think so.
Well, it's a matter of opinion, but I think Wigan. Do I think Wigan can win the grand final? Absolutely, but they definitely need them two on the field, don't they? Because without Bevan, Andre, or even with one of them, they're not the same because they're just so good. So and I know it's obvious, and I'll chuck Ben Curry in as well because I think it's great to see him finally have Warrington doing what we've expected they should do, and for him to finally be able to get back to where we always knew he was, and benefit from having a couple of half packs giving him ball and that sort of thing.
No.
I don't know, like you said, unless.
Do you not think quick? Sometimes I do this and you just go.
No, I don't. It's that I don't have one in my head.
Well, if you think of Super League this year, whose first player comes to your mind? I can do it.
There wasn't what a team have. Hull KR have. I'm happy.
So who's your player?
But there's no Hull KR's been a team. It's been every single one's been done their role. I generally don't. I generally struggle to have one. I think.
Pick any show we play then.
Yeah, like you said, probably.
Cameron Smith.
Probably Cammy, probably. I always enjoy watching Sutty at Hull, but they had a shocking start.
That's a great shout, by the way, because he was on my mind. Liam Sutcliffe has been absolutely.
I've enjoyed watching Sutty loads this year, to be honest.
And I'll even question this. You look at Leeds now, and you look and you think, was that? And I don't. And Rowan told me off for this, so I'm going to stick up with Rowan. He said it was never his choice. He thought that. Liam wanted to go, and they said they didn't have the cap money to offer him the money he got, so they were, that it wasn't that they didn't like something, it was just the position that was in.
Yeah.
I think he has been that player.
Brilliant.
And if you pick it in an England side, you'd be like, well, go on then. And he's always had a rough thing, Sutty, because of his as a person.
Because of his
I try and explain this to a lot of players lately. If you're undercut as a player and you just do the right thing, I got a player who got dropped at weekend. And he said, why am I always the one? And it's a bit like just set senior brothers, Lewis and Innes. Nice kids, go to training, go on, do the stuff, do their extras, whatever, but only within a structure. They're not going to be a problem to drop them lads, because usually, historically so, Matty Staunton, it's okay. Bang. You look at, can you imagine trying to drop Mikey? Harry Newman. Imagine coach going, oh my good God. Yeah. And I heard a coach of this other day, and I daren't tell you who said it, but a coach said it through somebody else. He said, we can't drop him because that'll have a big effect on the team spirit. And I went, that is shithousey of the highest thing he's saying. That can have effect on the team if I drop that player. Not that kid who's actually played better than him. Guess why? Because he's easier to drop into. Oh, yeah. I think Liam Sutcliffe goes into that bracket of not being talked about as an England centre. Not being talked about as a man of steel, not being talked about as being probably the best centre in comp at moment. Yeah?
Yeah.
Who mentions it? Even when he's on Sky, he rips teams apart. He's never given man a match. No. I don't think I've ever seen Sutty do a speech. No. In the 10 years, do you know Sutty's probably played nearly 250. You watch him thinking, no one gives him a second look.
You know, he always suffered, I always felt, on the back of, because he was coming through as potentially being a 13, a standoff, and because he never really...
Position.
Yeah, he never really linked his back row, but we'd talked about it every year since it happened when he finally got a bit of game time in centre with Ash, he was the best centre of the comp. And he is, what we talked about earlier with Harry, for all Harry's attributes and his positives, Sutty is a very different centre who is so unselfish and does all the hard work and is always looking to get his winger in. he goes under the radar. Sky don't mention him because either they don't see it or it's not sexy enough for him. And yet, he's been absolutely rock solid for a very long time as a centre.
I'm going to throw one into you guys and I've watched this year, Ryan Brearley. Ryan Brearley has been absolutely sensational, and even the player who called him all the names under the sun are now saying, hey, and I mean, Sky go, yeah, Brearley started to make his defensive reads. My God, he suddenly said he's a defensive player. I can't believe it.
Yeah, they did last week on Sky. They said
as though at 30-year-old he's suddenly become defensive. No, he's in a structure he likes, and he's becoming the player he could. All the things, but Ryan's been playing fantastic. From showing me Liam Sutcliffe, obviously Paul Vaughan. Yeah. You've got to give a rap for Paul Vaughan. Catalan's, I think Mike McGeechan's been absolutely sensational. I'd love him in my team. He'd be in my dream team.
At prop as well.
Oh yeah, I love him. Just have him in my team. I think he's got everything. I'm not gonna. I think he can't really put a bottom 4 player in, even though. But I find it very hard to pick a Cass and a Wakey player to put in there. And probably Cameron Smith had been my one at Leeds, who I look at as a bit of a standout, and I think he's been holding his Tom Allroyd on the way up. I think KR Josen's interesting because there's a few who are playing very well, but I'm going to stick to. I like another one. George King just turns up every day, 7 days a week, and bang bang. Jeslett, Mikey gets all the plaudits, and rightly so. Young player going to the England squad this year, got the sensational. Jeslett play for England, starting to become the player we all thought that. They said he's not. He's probably there now. There's no excuses. It's weird because you're not talking about your Coots and the one that historically you'd go, oh yeah, him. It's an interesting one for me. Tom Allroyd, young player of the year. George Delaney, we're biased, sensational, absolutely. Sensational. So you've got the two, Wigan lads. We're going to get some more Wigan people.
Even
Matty Pete tells me off all the time. He said you never mention any at Wigan lads. When you mention things like this, you don't mention any at Wigan players. And I go, you've got a good point there. We still can't mention one.
Well, I think Havard was the next one I was going to say, because I think I've probably seen more of Wigan than any other team this year, and I think he's been brilliant. I know he's not one of ours, so no bias there, but
like it.
When he got in, I thought it was well deserved when he got in that England team to play France. I think he's been really good. So, and I mentioned French, so it's most Wigan bias I've ever done.
I think the centre coups of, obviously I'll get a show me lad of Toby and Jake Wardle, both of them centres have been a revelation, I think, at Wigan. I think they're exactly what Wigan needed last year, a bit of a strike centre, and they've got 2 of them, and they're both scoring tries and doing a lot every single game to provide that bit of extra spark for the win. And I think that the signing of them two to get like them, but together is.
Probably says a lot, doesn't it? Probably says a lot, but we've not said it. It's right here. Wakey, we haven't said a player.
We've not said a Saints player.
Huddersfield, we haven't said a player. We have said George Laney at Saints. Yeah. But you look at them 3 bottom.
Yeah, but George's only played 2 games.
That's his 5th game now. And he's only 19. He's probably the youngest player.
But 2 of them Challenge Cup.
Well, whatever. I'm not saying. I'm saying. George missed the first Sunday games. Now you're looking at it, for a young player a year. He could play next. He could play in some big games. I watched the Halifax game. They were absolutely awesome. I'm trying to give you some there. There won't be many 19-year-olds playing in Super League, will there?
There's
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
there's one player I've got to mention, and I've been quite critical of him over the years in some ways. Is Josh Charnley. He's leading the try scoring charts.
Sorry,
Cruz has definitely had the most stick. But Josh Charnley, you've got to. Awesome. And I know he's on a wing.
We've got to give a lead player a rap, haven't we? We've got to give it. You're right.
You have Lachlan Lamb.
Lachlan Lamb, he'd be in mine without a doubt.
But Charnley to be top at try scoring list, that's outstanding.
Great shout.
And he's clearly. It goes back to what you said earlier. What Lee have done was, and Derek's been a massive part of the whole psychology behind it, has gone, right is off at your peril. I put him bottom 3. I thought it'd be too much too soon for him. And as the weeks have gone by, they've got into it and picked up a couple of early wins while they were getting into it. Now they're in the stride. Josh Charnley's having the best year he's had in at least 5 years. And they're getting the best out of everybody. Like Joe called early, get Latelli on the same side as Charnley, get them to attacking flair. Lachlan Lamb in there.
KR are the 2 teams that KR and Lee, I'm telling you, they're avoiding them like.
Well, I saw a tweet a couple of weeks ago, and you made me think of it at the start of the show when But had the two big wins, the two big upsets that they got, and someone put, can't wait for the Hull KR League final, just out with all the...
Honestly,
you know,
I tell you now, I can feel it. I can feel it's like the big guns, the historic big guns are looking over the shoulder and they're coming for him and they're coming so fast. And Willie Peters has got to be given as the coach of the year. I'd have Willie Peters and Paul Rowley. They're my two. I can't.
You've got to say Lammy.
You've got to have Lammy in there. They're sitting in playoff spots.
KR are third.
Yeah, I know, but...
You're third. Lee have just been promoted and are in fifth.
Yeah.
I'm on about above Salford more than... It's KR and Lee for me are the two teams.
Do you not think Lammy's done a number 8? KR's not Willie Peters?
Yes, but Lammy's is more impressive in the long... Lammy's is more impressive.
Well, them two are... I'd leave Salford a bit out of it because we saw what Salford could do last year. They've just kept doing it. But Lee and OKR... They're
the two standout teams.
Warrington are delivering brilliant, but they kind of had to, and it was expected. You know, there was, and their overseas signings have proved to me. Drinkwater's been an amazing signing.
Yeah,
I've been, not George Williams' biggest fan, but put him next to Drinkwater, and then you've got the best of George Williams. So Warrington are doing what expected. Hull KR are doing what you expected, and precious few others dreamed of, and Lee are even over exceeding the most optimistic.
Well, we went to that Warrington League game, didn't we? And we couldn't believe how much quality it was. We came back. If you remember in that car,
that was one of the best games I've watched.
I remember coming back shocked at that. I was like, that is a proper game of rugby.
That's one of the best games I've watched all season in the league. That's one of the best games.
Ben Curry's testimonial. It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was such a good game. With the highest standard as well. It was just brilliant to watch.
And it's proved it, to be fair.
Yeah,
Asiata, we've got to mention him for one of best players so far.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah, so, it's been great. That League team just been brilliant, to be fair to it.
And it's nice, isn't it? It's about time we had a bit more mix up.
I wonder how many teams in Rugby League history have been promoted that made the playoffs the year after.
A few.
There can't be many.
I think there'd be a few, but not as late. I don't think because of the cap situation.
Over the last 10 years.
Yeah, we've not had a lot who've managed to put the money in.
I'm not sure any have. Yeah, I'd be with Joe there. I don't think... I'd like to know if anybody else.
Check it there. There's a question for people. Time to write
Mick could know that if you get out of bed.
Well, Mick would make it up then do his research after, wouldn't he?
Well, anyway, listen, thank you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's the first, we've called it a catch-up. It's the first one we've done for a few weeks, maybe 6 weeks. Hopefully you enjoy it. There's a few contentious points, I think, there, guys, but we've had a bit of a debate and argument over.
Blown off a bit of steam.
We've had a bit of steam, yeah, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you soon.